Okay, good morning. I'm Đức Ánh from Vinh University, a teacher of English. And today I'm very happy to be a presenter of the TESOL. And I'm recording my findings and my research. So, well, at first I need to introduce myself. I'm Đức Ánh Dương, or Dương Đức Ánh in Vietnamese ways. I've been a teacher of English at Vinh University for 5 years. And at Vinh University, I'm teaching translation and interpreting skill. And I also like to, to teach writing, and I really love writing. I have my own blog, and I write a lot of good stuff on that blog. And also invite my students to come and to read my essays, also my journal. So it means that I'm really interested in writing and improving student writing performance. At Vinh University, most of the students are from the local districts. Majority of students from Nghệ An province, and also many students from Hà Tĩnh and Thanh Hóa province. Given the fact that students now really interested in improving their writing skills, and then I think that I can help them with some techniques and skill so that they can shorten the time to train themselves in writing English. So today I'm gonna present you something with the research that I also conducted with my colleagues. Then I think that I will record my screen so that you can better take a look at them. Let's wait for minutes. And here we got the screen here. Well, it's kind of pretty hard, to find the technique here. Okay, here's screen, and then probably what I need to do with that one, right? Okay, so we should begin. Sharing screen. I'm thinking more about how to. Okay, sure. Then when we started, as you can see that I am. I'm teacher of English at Department of Foreign Languages, Vinh University. I got an MA in TESOL and BA in English Stories from Hanoi University, and BA in Business Administration from Hanoi University of Science and Technology. My co-researchers, Lizzie Ling, she also teachers of English at Department of Foreign Languages, and she also have an MA in Linguistics from University of Westminster, UK, and a BA in Linguistics from ULIS. So both of us were graduate students from Hanoi universities. And talking about English teaching career, here's myself in the middle, and around me there are many students. They are very, they are very, very dynamic, and they really love to learn English. And here is my classroom. Here's one class that there are not so many students in my class. So it's very nice, when you take a small class. And on the top right is my favorite students, and he's holding a pen. It's kind of a birthday cake to celebrate the day. everything look amazing, right? But actually, there are a lot of things that we need to concern. Here is another class. Can you count how many students are there in this class? Probably, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then approximately 30 students. And how, when I teach them to write in a writing course, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to, to evaluate student performance in terms of writing because because you know that you don't have much time to do that. So so here are the writings. They write by hand most of the time, and there are some economic essays that they need to write. And here they write an essay, a lot of essay. Then basically I had to underline a lot of words, phrases, and to give grades to students. It is kind of very laborious task. So as global effects and one of the more challenges in the digital age, we are as EFL teachers had to integrate technology in EFL classroom. So, here, as you can see from the screen, there is Grammarly review, and on the right hand, you see a person, that's a teacher, working from day in, day out, assessing student writing performance. So I understand that various learning methods have been implemented, including teacher corrective feedback and automated feedback by using certain conduct tool. And we normally use some software like Microsoft software, and um, and also we use some kind of techniques like use Facebook or Wiki, integrate the technology in language to reduce burdens upon the teachers when they teach. So here's writing grammar, Grammarly. Probably you don't know much about Grammarly, but Grammarly is one of the automated feedback programs that can be implemented in the English classroom. It is kind of an online website, or I would say a platform of website, because basically it has an apps, and but to use that app you need to connect your camera with the internet. So it is a platform for proofreading that can be used for identifying grammatical errors of documents. It also offers correction for spelling, punctuation, synonyms, and detection of parallelism. Grammarly helps student and teacher to correct the writing basically. And from co-founder of Venture Out, Zenit Stark, she said, Grammarly allows me to get the communication out and feel confident that I'm putting my best foot forward. Grammarly is like little superpower, especially when I need to be at 110 percentage point of correctness. I think that's right, the test, some very good words, some very nice testimonies from very famous people around the world. And that's why the aim of my research is come to the end of my research. We conduct the research to explore student perception and attitude towards the implementation of Grammarly and teacher corrective feedbacks. And also I do that, and I measure with tasks that Grammarly could do better than teachers. Okay, yeah. With tasks as teacher outperform Grammarly. And also out of my curiosity, I would like to make a kind of statistics measures. I use SPSS and the t-test to measure students' progress. And here's some glance, a glance of Grammarly and a glance of Microsoft Word. You see on the right side, you see the Microsoft Word with the spelling button and spelling mistake and review tab. You see that Microsoft Word also identify some typos and they underline with the red colors. And some of my colleagues also employ things like Ryan to Improve, a kind of platform introduced by the Cambridge University. I think so. Yeah, Cambridge affiliate probably. Then when student post a website on, and they will, they will analyze the technology will analyze the the writing and give the mark. So here, as you can see that there are very little, very little things that the technology can have to deal with um, the writing. They also they point out something that very small and not very significant. I think that right and improve also Microsoft Word cannot have mods with the student writing, also cannot compete against teachers. So Grammarly, that's why I end up employing Grammarly. I use premium one, and then here's some picture of that. Um, you know, in the body of research, in many research sites, including IEFL writing course, um, you know, many articles of different lengths and depths in use of automated feedback programs exist, such as they use Facebook or for EFLs, or they use something like automated feedback programs, just Grammarly or Ginger, Microsoft Word, and there are a lot of articles. They discuss the effectiveness, benefits, the advantages of using automated feedback programs, and they also point out the reason why automated feedback programs should be used in teaching and learning process. So here's some key highlight of Grammarly. Grammarly can have students with a lot of things. Grammarly can have students with identify punctuations, spelling errors, have them to correct nouns, providing several alternatives for the misspelled word, and identify some fragments and offers for forms. And on the right, you see that writing issues like correctness and clarity and engagement and delivery. It means that Grammarly they do something like they categorize the hero into different groups, and in different groups they also have some command on student errors. However, now that very few research study focus on the use of grammar checkers. The use of Grammarly in helping students to reduce writing errors, um, haven't been mentioned by many by research. So that's why we need. I decided to do the research. We get back to teacher corrective feedback. I understand that this is very traditional way of providing feedback to students, because teachers' corrective feedback is kind of inevitable teaching strategy. You cannot have avoiding that, because whether you like it or not, uh, we are teacher, we need to do that. We need to finish the task of grading students and underlining the errors of students. So basically, it cannot be avoidable. Then there are a lot of good things with teacher corrective feedbacks. we um, we use technique, corrective feedback from teachers can be used to highlight errors in writing class, grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, diction mistakes, and teacher use corrective feedback to educate students. We use to criticize and commend the work of students. Also, it's become kind of a necessity for all teacher and student, and it's been done for centuries in their exercise, test paper, and throughout the course. Then, yeah, this is very efficient. You see that from the pictures, the teacher, correct very in detail, you know, uh, and identify numbers of errors, and give some feedback and comment on the top of it. Basically here the teacher, they make the suggestion, they cross out some word, and they write kind of some alternative words for that. That's awesome, and also give some the scores for the task. However, sometimes teacher corrective feedback is kind of a dumb. You see, a lot of researchers say teacher feedback sometimes problematic. Take a look at that. I mean that here in Vietnam is very kind of very nice illustration to see that sometimes we give feedback based on our feeling. We say. Then corrective feedback and self-correction, according to Randy and Masuri, they say that the self-correction and corrective feedback can impede, it means that can hinder the improvement students' writing skills in EFL. Well, if you were a student in this situation, how would you feel? You would feel like, I do not feel like learning literature anymore. Or if this would be, if the comment was in the EFL setting, it would be, okay, student would not feel motivated to learn anymore. Probably, yes. Um, and my research methodology is that I employ the case study design, and I conducted we conducted at the Department of Foreign Languages. There are 50 students, and they were selected purposefully. We need to select student somehow in a way that we can evaluate student efficiently, and they must be at the same level. So that's why we selected purposefully, and the two groups were formed. About the data collections, the questionnaires and open-ended interview was, to test or to evaluate student progress. And about finding, well, we jump to finding a little bit quick, but when measuring student perception and attitude toward implementation of Grammarly and teacher corrective feedback, I see that 99% of all participants agree that both Grammarly and teacher corrective feedback could directly and indirectly improve students' EFL writing. And feedback also could motivate students to always keep writing in English. So it's very nice, the feedback from teachers and Grammarly are very effective and in improving students' writing performance. And when we ask teachers feeling, it's kind of a bias, when I ask the researchers, because the teacher is also researchers. So when when I ask Ling about her feeling, and this is what she said. So, student looked motivated during EFL writing class when both Grammarly and teacher corrective feedback are implemented. So it means that, when and Link asked me, I would feel the same. I would have the same feeling. Students generally feel motivated. They feel very curious, and they feel like everything they write, there will be one person to look and evaluate and give some comments, and that's why they feel like, it's kind of better than when they write at home with no one to correct their mistakes. So here you see that I also, from open-ended interview, I found that students also have a positive perception toward implementation of both Grammarly and teacher corrective feedback. And then here's some student perception. And they write something like an essay here, and about something like crime and capital punishment. Yeah, they write an essay about capital punishment, whether they agree on the implementation of capital punishment or not. So here's Grammarly, and basically the Grammarly will underline all the things that the software or the algorithm feel problem. And a student given a premium, score and account, then they can implement grammars, writing, implements using Grammarly it at home. And by using Grammarly, student could independently check their own writing and accesses. If you like, immediately check their grammar structures, mechanics, spelling, of course, organization, and content of the writing. And then there's something like after that, Grammarly gives scores. He has 50 scores, so students are not very competent, in terms of writing. And there's 19 critical mistakes, 24, 20, 21 advanced. So in the advanced, it means that they Grammarly analyze something like, the different use of word, also kind of advanced, and also Grammarly suggests some alternative way to change your the writing. So basically, a student feel more encouraged, motivated with teacher feedback. Here's one of my students. Her name is Nhi, and she's from the department. She feel like, automated feedback and teacher feedback. She say two different techniques of assessment. If I, now I'm speaking on behalf of her, I say, if I use Grammarly, I was challenged to work and assess my writing independently. And if the teacher corrective feedback is implemented, I think that the corrections the corrections are from reliable source to make her feel motivated and awake keepers learning and writing. So basically, she's very happy with the teacher feedback, because she feel like, the teacher are very reliable, and she hold a strong belief in teacher competence, and whenever teacher provide feedback, she's happy with that. And when she used Grammarly at home, she also feel motivated, because she feel like it is kind of a challenge, and she like to assess her writing independently. So from teacher comment, we understand that we feel like students were encouraged and can do it independently, and student can feel enthusiastic to do self-evaluation, and the student will feel like they're and from seeing the writing, they have 10 they have 10 essays during their research being implemented, then I can see that their writing improves significantly, at least to the on the perspective that they make kind of not very serious mistakes. So so they will revise their writing based on my command and the successor. So, but in order to measure by in terms of numbers, then when we have a survey, a closed-ended survey, and we analyze which part that Grammarly would do better than teacher feedback. And I think that it's kind of fun to see the results here. They say 95% of students feel like, you know, Grammarly are very effective in dictions or in the use of vocabulary, because when you write something and Grammarly will suggest some alternative use of word, and that one that make them feel like Grammarly are very very effective in this case. And they feel like, you know, grammar language use of grammar will be their grammar will be improved a lot, and 100% feel Grammarly very effective in identifying the spelling and punctuation error or mechanics of writing. However, when it comes to content of writing or organization of writing, not many students feel, you know, believe in that, in effectiveness of Grammarly, because basically many students feel like, you know, um, Grammarly is kind of a little bit arbitrary when assessing the writing performance, because in terms of content of writing and organization of writing, it is more like intelligent, human intelligence, and they feel like only teachers can help them with that. So as a result, only a third of students, you know, around a third of students agree that Grammarly are effective in in finding the errors with concerning the content of writing and organization of writing. And here's some the teacher feedback. You know, the student perception about the teacher feedback. With only 54 and 57% and 74% of students agree upon the idea that the teacher feedback have them to use vocabulary uses and language uses, and you know, things like spelling, punctuation. So it means, you know, most of the teachers, they say, when I interview student and manage student, said that, you know, the teachers, sometimes this teacher give only the mark and analyze some of the writing, but the student feel very struggling to know to understand what is mean by that. So it means that the teachers sometimes they because they are too busy and they do not have time to provide alternative. So the student, even though when they know that their errors has been detected, but they don't know how to change. That's why they feel like the teacher feedback are not very effective in improving their language use and vocabulary use. However, most of the teacher concern are focused on the organization of writing and content of writing. So students feel, you know, nearly 100% of students, you know, majority of students feel the content of writing, organization of the idea improve. That is awesome, you know. So basically, that is the strengths and weakness of teacher feedback and student feedback that I already covered. And here, the evaluate student performance. 25 students receive feedback from teachers. You know, they write essay without have a Grammarly, and they were categorized into control group. and the other half was receive feedback from both teacher and Grammarly. The essay would have Grammarly, and they also and I call it experimental. So I also use SPSS to evaluate student performance. I mean, it's not something like SPSS can check the writing, but I use Grammarly to check the student performance. So here's some results. We received 25, 25 pieces of writing at first, the first essay, and then the mean score is with 52 and 54 is quite nearly the same, given the arbitrary of the Grammarly, with standard deviation, 20, 15, and maximum 80 and minimum 24. So here the pretest control group witness a wide significant fluctuation in the scores, and the pretest experimental group varied from 40 to 71. So this one is quite congested around 30 percentage point here, and the standard deviation, half of the pretest control. So basically, it means that they have this, the mean are quite the same, so it's quite reliable because they have quite the same writing performance. I mean, in terms of grammar, um, in terms of writing content or the meaning of the essay, I think quite the student quite understand the ideas, but when putting their essay into the grammar and analyze the errors, 50 point on Grammarly system is generally considered low. So it means that they made a lot, actually. They made a lot of simple mistake, and I would say critical mistake with that score. And the post-test were, quite, you see the improvement here from 52 to 61, and from 54 to 74 in experimental group with Grammarly have. So it means that they both improve, but the post-set experimental group show a little bit better. And here I check whether the data that I collect is well distributed according to the bell shape, the bell curve. And from the first one, the most of the data, they conjected around here 40 and 60. Yeah, it's quite reliable, I mean. And here for the experimental group, it's quite I don't think it is very nice, but it's quite resemble the bell curve, with not many students got 40 score 40, and not many students score 50. Actually, there's 2 students that have got 70 points. That the post-set control group and post-set experimental group follow the bell curve. So there's something that happened within the myth here. The Grammarly will assess and giving scores to students, and they underline every errors and mistakes here, and give student comments. So basically, student will read a lot of things, and they really understand what they need to do for the next time. And there are 10 essays that they need to do. Wow, amazing, right? And to test the paired sample correlation, and I conduct that, and with a significant of significant. So I mean that it's quite reliable, reliable that improvement happens for both sample tests. So when get back to the conclusion, to sum up, the finding and discussion above, it can be inferred that studies show the positive perception and attitude of teachers and students on the implementation of both Grammarly and teacher corrective feedback. Basically, Grammarly is better in reducing errors in terms of vocabulary uses, language use, and mechanics of writing, spelling, and punctuation. However, it is less effective to improve content of organization of student HFL writing. On the contrary, teachers' corrective feedback is better in terms of improving content, organization, and mechanics of writing, but less effective in terms of language use and diction. So this study comes to conclusion that technology as part of modern assessment could not fully support the process of assessment. And it still needs some traditional ways of assessment, so that teacher corrective feedback in order to get more comprehensive results of the writing assessment. This study also discovered the negative results. Some students did not use automatic feedback program precisely enough. When you're taking a look at that and see a lot of analysis here, and probably a lot of students would feel like they do not know how to correct their mistake. At low level, I would emphasize that. This is especially the case with long sentence of grammatical feedback, because some students have very poor language skills, then they confuse with options. Students with low language skill may not be able to deal with the process of correcting their English language. So for very low level student of English, I think that we need they need more from the teachers and to work directly with the teacher, because the level of autonomy for them is quite low. So basically, that's my presentation, and thank you. It's very nice. I mean, it's very nice research, and I think one of the first research that can be done to investigate in the effectiveness of Grammarly and teacher feedback. So thank you for listening.